Hi everyone, today we are going to install Android Studio on Windows 11. To do that, open a browser of your choice and search for Android Studio. Go to the android.com developer.android.com link, and we see that the latest version over here is Android Studio Ladybug. So we click on download, read all the terms and conditions and check the checkbox if you agree with them, and then click on download Android Studio Ladybug. Make a new folder for yourself like Android Studio under the downloads directory, and you can save the zip file over here. So wait for the download to complete. It's 1.1 gigabytes, and once it's done you can just click on this to open the downloaded exe file. This is going to open the setup for Android Studio, and I select yes over here. This says welcome to Android Studio setup. Let's click next to continue. Let's select both Android Studio and Android Virtual Device. This is a pre-configured Android Virtual Device for app testing. Click next. Let's choose the default folder for this, and let's click on install. Now wait for some time for this installation to complete. Once it's completed, click on next and then select start Android Studio to start it up. After you click finish. Now you can click finish to start Android Studio. When you start it up for the first time, Google might ask you to send usage statistics to it for improvement. For now, I'm going to select don't send. So this is the welcome screen with a wizard to help you set up your development environment. So I'll just click next over here and I'll choose the standard setup. So then you get the option to check the components you want to update/install. So I'm going to leave the default, which is basically all of them, and click on next. And then review it once again and just click on next again. So it is going to take 2.25 gigabytes of space along with 1.1 gigabyte that we wanted that we had taken for the installer. So we click on next. Now you need to read and accept all the licenses. So read them and agree to them if you accept them. I'm going to accept them over here. Then click on finish. So now it's starting the download and it is going to download all the components. If you want to see the details, you can click on show details, and you have to wait for the downloads to complete. You get this message from user account control, so I'll select yes over here. And then you click finish to finish the installation. So just in case Intel HAXM, which is Hardware Accelerated Execution Manager, fails to install, you can actually follow the steps over here. This is used to accelerate the Android emulator on systems with Intel processors, and the error this error will basically prevent your emulator from functioning efficiently, and this is typically due to system specific issues. So one of the common causes is that hardware virtualization is not enabled. Intel HAXM requires hardware virtualization Intel VT-X to be enabled, which might be disabled in your system's BIOS/UEFI settings. So you can actually follow the steps over here, and I'll put this link in the description. This might help you turn it on. Before we start using Android Studio, we'll turn on some virtualization features using the control panel. So search for control panel on the start menu. Open it by clicking over here. Then select category over here. Click on programs and click on turn on Windows features. Turn Windows features on or off. So once over here, select Windows Hypervisor platform. Scroll down for that. So as this says, this enables virtualization software to run on Windows Hypervisor, and there might be some other virtualization improvements or additions to your machine. You can select them and turn them on only if you understand what they're doing. Otherwise, you can just let them be and you can click OK over here. Android Studio should work without them as well. So select OK over here. So it will search for the required files and apply those changes, and basically asks you to restart your PC to finish installing the requested changes, and you can do that by clicking on restart now. Alright, so you can skip that step if you don't want any kind of virtualization improvements, and you should only do that if you understand what all you're checking and installing into your Windows. You can simply continue without doing that step as well. For now, what we'll do is we'll go to more actions and we'll go to virtual device manager over here. And we see that since we selected one of the devices, we have it. Okay, so I get the Windows security pop-up, and I'm going to allow this for now. Since we had selected an emulator while installing Android Studio, we see that it's available over here, and we can start it by clicking on the play button over here. For now, we can close this and we go to plugins. and we install the Flutter plugin. So it's slightly showing over here, otherwise you can search for it and click on install. This can vary based on what kind of applications you want to develop. Since I am more comfortable with developing Flutter apps, I'm going to select Flutter over here, which helps me develop cross-platform applications. And now I'm going to restart the IDE. Click on restart. And now you get an option to actually create a new Flutter project, and I'm going to just do that over here. Alright, so to create a Flutter project, I'm going to choose Flutter over here, and I need to specify the Flutter path. So for that, what we can do is we can go to a browser and search for install Flutter. And then we can go to the flutter.dev website, go to docs and click on install Flutter over here, and select Windows as your development platform. Select Android as your recommended device, and then we can go down. We've already installed Android Studio. We just need the Flutter SDK. We'll click on download and install, and we can click on the zip file. You can also develop Flutter apps through VS Code, although we are going to use Android Studio over here. Make a folder for Flutter SDK download and click on save, and wait for this download to complete. It's approximately 1 GB and it should complete pretty quickly. So once that's done, you can actually then go to your download directory over here, select your Flutter SDK path and click on OK and click on next. So select my new app as the project name, select whatever Android language you want for the native part. I'm going to let it be at Kotlin and select all the platforms that you want and then click on create. This will create your new Flutter project. And here is your main.dart file, and as we see, the default Flutter project, which is a counter app, is built over here. You can now click device manager over here. Start your virtual device by clicking the start button. And then you can go to running devices and check the devices that have been started over here. For a Flutter app, you can also go to Flutter device selection over here. And you can actually select a web browser as a device as well, because Flutter apps are inherently multi-platform and you can also run this on web. You might need to allow firewall access to the simulator if you're prompted for that. So here we see the simulator starting up. So Android Studio automatically selects this simulator as the device to run on. And once it's started, we can click on the run main.dart button over here to run it. Notice that the simulator starts inside the IDE itself over here. So I'm going to select Chrome Web as my device selection over here and then click on run main.dart. Note that you can also create an Android app at the beginning and just open this app simply as you opened it right now. So this is going to start Chrome now and run the app for us. Running a simulator can be pretty heavy for some old Windows machines, so you can consider compiling web applications on the web or on an actual mobile phone that you might be testing on. For now, I have selected Chrome Web over here, and you can click on the run main.dart button over here to launch that on Chrome. So let's see how that goes. So a new Chrome browser window opens up for us, and we have the app opening on localhost 53371. And this is how your app looks, and this is the counter app, which you can press the plus button to increment the number. So this is how you install Android Studio, and we have used a new Flutter project, added the Flutter SDK and compiled one sample app on the Chrome browser. We saw how to start our virtual devices from the virtual device manager and then use the running devices over here. And similarly, you can also set up a Java or a Kotlin project by selecting the appropriate option in the beginning and choosing a particular template for yourself. When you do that, Android Studio is going to create a template app for you and then sync some changes or build some Gradle files, and then you can actually click on the play button to run that app on your particular device. We're not going to run the app on all kinds of devices over here, and you can actually follow those steps for your specific use case. Thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe to our channel, and please check out the other videos on our channels on creating agents and creating apps using Flutter and using Flutter no code as well. And see you again next time.